Phil Parkinson has just dropped a bombshell about January transfers, and what he's saying could either secure Wrexham's playoff dream or leave fans wondering what might have been. This decision changes everything. Alright Wrexham fans, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button because we're bringing you Red Dragons news like nobody else. 3 massive stories for you today, and honestly, you absolutely need to stick around for the last one. We're talking about January transfer plans that have got the entire Wrexham faithful divided right down the middle. But first, let me catch you up on what's been happening at the racecourse and beyond. Story 1. Historic Ipswich clash. Right, let's start with something special happening this Saturday at 3 p.m. Wrexham are heading to Portman Road to face Ipswich Town, and here's the thing. These two sides have never ever met in league football, not once. The only time they've faced each other was back in the 94-95 FA Cup third round, when Wrexham pulled off a proper giant killing under Brian Flynn, winning 2-1. Now Ipswich are flying high in the Championship, sitting just outside the top 6, and they're unbeaten in 4 league games at home. They've only lost once at Portman Road in the last 29 Championship matches. That's an absolute fortress, that is. But here's where it gets interesting for us. Phil Parkinson actually has a decent record against Ipswich. When he was managing Sunderland back in League One in 2020, he beat them twice. So the gaffer knows how to get one over on the Tractor Boys. And get this, Wrexham have only lost 1 Championship game since October. We've gone 5 unbeaten with 3 wins and 2 draws. The lads are in proper form right now, sitting 13th in the table, just 4 points off the playoffs. Jayden Philogene been tearing it up for Ipswich at home with 6 goals this season, but our defence has been solid lately. This is the kind of test that shows whether Wrexham truly belong at this level. But that's not the only news coming out to the racecourse. Story 2. Fixture congestion fears. So Parkinson's been talking about the mental and physical demands on his squad, and it's something we need to pay attention to. The lads are staring down 7 Championship games in just 28 days, starting with tomorrow's trip to Ipswich. 7 matches, 4 weeks. That's brutal at this level, where every game is a battle. Now here's the thing. Wrexham just dealt with something similar before the international break. 7 games in 22 days, and they came through it unbeaten in 5. That run is exactly what lifted us up to 13th and put us within touching points of the playoffs. Parkinson gave his players a proper 2-week break after that 1-0 win over Charlton on November 8th. Some lads got injections, saw specialists, sorted out those little niggles that build up over a season. The gaffer's saying they came back sharp and hungry, which is exactly what you want to hear. But let's be real, there's no more breaks until March. That's the next international window. So from now until the new year and beyond, it's relentless. This is where squad depth gets tested. This is where injuries can derail a season. The good news? We've been here before this season and handled it brilliantly. The question is whether we can do it again with names like Jay Rodriguez, Danny Ward, Elliot Lee and Andy Cannon already on the treatment table. Now those were big stories, but what I'm about to tell you next could completely reshape Wrexham's season. This is massive.
Right, here we go. This is the one everyone's been waiting for. Phil Parkinson has just gone on record saying Wrexham will not be making many changes in the January transfer window. Now let that sink in for a second. We're sitting 13th in the Championship, 4 points off the playoffs. We've just signed 13 players in the summer after winning promotion from League One. The squad's barely had time to gel together, and now Parkinson's basically saying we're not disrupting what we've got. Now, before half of you lose your minds in the comments, let me break down exactly what's happening here and why this could be either genius or a massive missed opportunity. The context is crucial. After Wrexham secured promotion last season, they went absolutely mad in the transfer market. 13 new faces through the door. That's not tinkering around the edges, that's a complete rebuild. Players need time to understand each other's movements, build chemistry, learn Parkinson's system, and to be fair to the gaffer, it's only now, 15 games into the Championship season, that everything's starting to click. Parkinson told BBC Sport Wales, "We made a lot of changes in the summer, and I feel like we're only really starting to gel properly now. We want to keep working with the players we've got." On the surface, that makes total sense. Why break up something that's working? We're unbeaten in 5, we've only lost 1 of our last 10 championship games, and we're punching above where most people expected us to be at this stage. But here's what nobody's talking about yet. The injury list is starting to look worrying. Isak Kabor, our right back, just joined Jay Rodriguez, Danny Ward, Elliot Lee, and Andy Cannon on the sidelines. That's 5 players unavailable, and we're about to go into that brutal run of 7 games in 28 days I just mentioned. This is where the debate gets really interesting. EFL commentator Don Goodman has suggested that Wrexham might actually go for it in January if the playoff race stays this tight. He told Jeff Bett, "We're seeing a huge number of teams with very similar ability levels, which offers a real opportunity. Wrexham might not get a better chance than this." And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? When do you strike? When do you push all your chips into the middle of the table and say, right, we're going for promotion? The Championship is absolutely wild this season. There's no runaway leaders. The gap between 6th and 13th is tiny. One good January signing could be the difference between finishing in the playoffs or finishing 10th and wondering what might have been. Goodman also said something crucial. If they're going to spend money in January, I'd expect it to be quality over quantity. Maybe a couple of signings who walk straight into the starting 11 and improve it, rather than just bodies for the squad. And Parkinson seems to agree with that bit at least. He said, "I don't think we'll need a lot, we're always looking, and of course we never stand still as a manager or as a team, but at the same time I don't want to disrupt the group too much." So what does this actually mean? Well, it sounds like Wrexham will be monitoring the situation, keeping an eye on injuries, watching the market, staying ready, but they're not going to panic buy 5 or 6 players just because the window's open. Here's my take, and this is where it gets controversial. I think Parkinson is playing this perfectly for now. Look, bringing in 1 or 2 quality additions, maybe a versatile midfielder who can cover multiple positions, or an experienced defender who's been at this level before, that could absolutely make sense, especially with those injuries piling up. But flooding the squad with new faces in January, when we've only just got the summer signing settled, that's a recipe for disaster. You risk losing the momentum we've built, disrupting partnerships that are finally forming, and ending up with a confused, disjointed team for the run-in. The counter-argument, though, and it's a strong one, is that opportunities like this don't come around often. The Championship is open this year. Birmingham, Bolton, Huddersfield, none of them are running away with it. If Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney are serious about getting Wrexham into the Premier League, maybe this is the year to be brave. What would you do if you were Parkinson? Do you stick with what you've got, trust the process, and hope the injuries clear up? Or do you bring in that one game-changing signing who could be the difference between celebrating at Wembley in the playoffs or watching it on TV? Wrexham supporters are absolutely divided on this. Some are saying, trust Phil, he knows what he's doing, we're already exceeding expectations. Others are saying, we've got Hollywood owners with deep pockets, why not strengthen while we've got the chance? The real story here is what happens over the next month. If Wrexham come through this 7-game run, still within touching distance of the playoffs, and if the injury situation stabilises, then Parkinson's approach looks brilliant. Keep the stability, keep the momentum, and ride it all the way to May. But if we drop points, if more players get injured, if we slip down to 17th or 18th, then people will be asking why we didn't act when we had the chance. One thing's for certain, this is a defining moment in Wrexham's Championship campaign. The decisions made in the next 6 weeks will determine whether this season ends in glory or what-ifs. So there you have it, 3 massive stories. Wrexham's historic First League meeting with Ipswich tomorrow, the brutal fixture schedule ahead, and the big January transfer question that's got everyone talking. Here's what I think happens. Wrexham brings in 1, maybe 2 quality additions if the right players become available, but he doesn't panic. He trusts the process, and honestly, given how far this club has come in just a few years, from the National League to genuinely competing in the Championship, I think we should trust him too.
This is the Wrexham journey, folks. Hollywood glamour meets Welsh grit and determination. It's why we love this club. Let me know what you think in the comments. Should Wrexham splash the cash in January or stick with what we've got? Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Come on, you Reds.